Hey, it's Allie Edwards, and as we get closer to Week in the Life for 2019, I wanted to take a little bit of time today to talk about what I do in advance of the project, which actually isn't a lot, but I wanted to open up my album. I wanted to kind of pick through the kit a little bit, the kit that I'm using that we have available in my shop, and just talk a little bit about how I approach this project at this point. So we're a couple weeks out. I'm going to be doing this on May 6th. If you are watching this or starting the project on May 6th, if you're watching this after that time, this is always something that you can do at any time throughout the year. It's a 7-day documentary project with the goal of capturing what life looks like for you right now. I know some people in our memory keeping community do Project Life. Some people do traditional scrapbooking. So, there's lots of different things and approaches for memory keeping. This is one of my most favorite because it has a beginning and an end. I start on Monday, I end on a Sunday. It is the one time of year where I do this kind of a deep dive, where I'm really looking for stories throughout the course of my day over those 7 days. I don't actually actively work on the project itself, or on the album itself during that time. During that 7-day period, what I am actively focusing on is taking pictures throughout the day, and that's part of the reason why I want to talk a little bit about the album itself and kind of dive in there, because as you'll see, you can't really fit unlimited photos in here, and I think that that's a good thing to keep in mind as we're going into the project. But during the week, I want to focus on the photos, and I also focus on the words. And for me, what I do is at the end of each day during the Week in the Life time period, I sit at my computer, I look back over the photos that I took over the course of the day, and I type up journaling. And what that does is it encapsulates, right, what happened over the course of that day when it's still fresh in my mind. So rather than waiting until the following week or the week after or months later, as sometimes happens, I'm doing it right then. So there takes a little bit of dedication, a little bit of time during the course of the week, but what I have found to be true for myself is that it's totally worth it, because then when I come to the time where I'm actually working in my album itself, I can copy and paste the journaling and add it into my project. Like, the journaling part is already done because I took the time during the documentary period itself to get that done. And so there's lots of different ways you can do it. Not everybody approaches it that way. That's just the one that's come to work really well for me over the last couple of years. And sometimes I'm having to stay up a little bit later than I normally would during this week, but like I said, it's worth it. So let's go down and take a look at the album. I'm using the pink linen album. We also have a black album available that has Week in the Life on the front. This is a 6x8 album. It's 2.5 inches wide, so definitely a good size for the amount of content that I like to put into this week time period. This year I'm thinking about starting my album with a quote, and as many of you guys know, I'm a big fan of the musical Hamilton, and as I was listening to that driving the kids around this morning, I heard the look around at how lucky we are to be alive right now. That comes up multiple times during the musical. And so I think that what I'm going to do is cut this out and have this be my intro page. And this is available for you to download, and you can print it out as well if you're using the 6x8 size on my blog post for this as well. So I'm going to probably be cutting that out. When I set my album up, generally what I do, I have the page dividers, and then I follow the same formula for the actual days of the week in terms of what page protectors I put in. I put in usually a 2-pocket 4x6, then I put in a full page. Each one gets a full page, and then one of these 3x4 4-pocket 3x4s, and that's what each day I'm allocating that much to each day. Sometimes I add additional things, sometimes I add other page protectors, sometimes I add photos that I've printed out and I just add into the album itself. And you can see past Week in the Life albums that I have put together on my blog in the Week in the Life archive category. I've been doing this since 2005. different sizes over the years. I've been doing 6x8 for the last, I think, 4 or 5 years now. It's a great size. It's a size I'm super comfortable with and a size that I enjoy working with. So this is what I have in here right now, is just each one of the days of the week with the page protectors in the order that I want them to go in. I'm just kind of flipping through to see what I have. Looks like most days I had the 4 pocket one first. So maybe I'll switch that over on here. It doesn't matter. You can do it however you would like in your own project. This is not a right or a wrong situation or a specific recipe. It's just, I find that having the consistency throughout the album is something that simplifies the process for me. It makes it so that I'm not having to reinvent the wheel for each day of content. And it's also showing me how many pockets I have available to me. So then I know in advance, that each day can really only hold so many photos, right? So rather than taking 150, 200 photos over the course of the day, I'm probably gonna take less, knowing that this is the space that's available to me. Now, one thing I would want to say about that is that I often take the photos I often use photos that I take during Week in the Life for other projects throughout the year. So I may take 20 photos or 40 photos over the course of a day. They're not all going to fit in here, but I can use them to illustrate other stories that I tell throughout the year as well. All right, so let's take a look. We have a kit available, and I'm just going to open it up here. We have a full walkthrough of this kit that you can see in another one of my videos. You can also see that I have all the little pieces. So what I want to do right now is kind of think through, how do I want to use these? Is there a specific way I want to use them that I want to establish in advance? Some of the ones that are the die cut pieces like this, I will probably add those onto photos after the fact, so it wouldn't necessarily be something that I would get set up in advance, but I like to know what I'm working with. And I always recommend to people, pull out your products, take a look at them so you can see what do you have available to you. And some of mine have already been taken apart from when we took photos of this, but let's just get these out here. I've got plastic numbers, so you can number your days. You could use the numbers to tell specific stories. Then we've got the cards, and this is one of the things that I kind of want to look at the closest is probably the cards here, because I like to kind of set those into the album in advance. Outside of the kit itself, we also have other products. There's stamps that you can check out. We have extra chipboard sets. We have extra sticker sheets that all have to do with Week in the Life sort of things. We have alphabet sticker sets. We also have these really fun day of the week transparencies, which I will probably add into my album. There's also a fun set of plastic hearts that might be something that you would want to include in yours as well. I'm going to set these out too, just to see, maybe I want to be adding them in some way or another. Right now I'm just kind of separating things out so that I can start to look a little bit at what I want to do. Now, one thing I have also, or one thing that's included, are these breakfast to lunch and dinner set. And I think that I want to use those. There's a couple different ways you can use those. You could punch holes in them and just put them into the album. I use a 6-hole punch that I got off of Amazon that you could punch holes directly into there and then put it right into your album. Or we do have 3x8 page protectors that you can also add into your album that look something like this guy. And I think that that's actually, I might add that into each one of my days. We also have new page protectors designs, and one of them is a 2-pocket 3x8, which you could put, one on here, and then you could have a couple really long photos, or you could have additional journaling in there as well if you wanted to add one of those into your project. But I think what I'm going to do is let's set one of these in there just to kind of see if this is what I want to do. This is a fun paper pad too that can be used for lots of different things. This is one of the ones that you could have out during the week and just fill it in quickly and simply. A fun way to add that little bit of content. So I think I'm going to go ahead. What do I have here? Right now I have that. I think I'm going to put it in as like the second page protector. And I'll link these 3x8s below if you want to be able to add something like that into yours as well. And again, you can just punch holes if you want to use those as well. All right, so I do know that I want to, maybe I'll use that in the beginning there. I do know that I want to add these cards into the days. So I'm gonna just find the days of the week here and stick those into those pockets. So this tells me right off the bat that I know that I want to have some kind of journaling that's going to go in this spot, and maybe it would be the same thing every day. Like maybe I want to do gratitudes on that card, and so this is a good time to kind of think ahead of, is that something, you know, do you want to establish something like that in advance to make sure that you know, each day are writing down your gratitudes in the notes that you might be keeping, or you can be writing them directly on the cards. So let's see. Let's just keep going here, and then we've got Friday. I'm putting them all in the same place right now. I'm not sure if I will specifically have them in there each time, but that's how I'm gonna start anyway. And Saturday and Sunday. Oops. I also want to look through the 3x4 cards and see if is there specific ones that I want to add in of those. And like I said, this, if you have ever done my December Daily project, with December Daily I do more planning in advance, I would say. Like there's more initial setup than this one. This one I like to get all my content first, and then I come back in and put the whole project together. I also wanted to cut this guy out. So I'm gonna move a couple things around, make a couple choices on some things, and then I'll pop back on here and show you where I'm at. All right, so when I look at my products, when I am kind of doing this initial phase, I'm thinking about a couple things. One is, when we make products, a lot of times I look at them as either a foundation product or an embellishment product. And what I mean by that is, like, I have a bunch of sentiment cards. So my plan is that I probably will add one of these sentiment cards to each day of the week. There's 7 total. A sentiment card to me means it has a quote or some other positive affirmation, real life kind of thing on them. That's how I like to do those. So I've got 7 here, so I'm going to spread those 7 throughout. And then I have other cards that are journaling cards, right? They are available and waiting for my story. So I'm not going to assign these ones right now. I'm going to kind of wait until we are in the week so I can see which one makes sense. You know, one for this week, one for giving thanks, one for highs and lows, one for observing, one for tough stuff, one for working on, and one for celebrating. Actually, as I'm thinking about it right now, this is another way that I could set these out in advance. I could put, again, there's 7 of each one of these. I can put them, maybe I will do this, I will just already put them into my album. This is how I make decisions as I go, to help guide my journaling, right? I'll know that on Wednesday, if I put working on, then I will write a little bit about what I'm working on. I can put celebrating in Tuesday, and I can focus on something that I'm celebrating. You know, highs and lows, or this week could go in Monday and kind of set out a little bit about what's going to happen over the course of the week. So actually, you know what? That's kind of what I'm going to do. You'll also see that I did cut out the that quote, and I put it in here. So I'm going to start my quote start my album with that quote. In the download package that I put for you in my blog post, it has the word art by itself, so you could put that onto a photo if you want to do that. You can just print, there's a PDF, you can just print it out. I print it on photo paper because I like the way that looks. So my initial thought is that will be my first page. And then I have the 4x6 this week card, and I'm thinking that I'm going to put this behind here. and I will print a big photo, and I will cut this part out and put this on top of my photo so that then I can stamp in the week that I'm doing it right there. So I'm just gonna slip this card in here knowing that that will be the beginning for me. And so then it starts flowing into the actual days itself. And as you can see, I have pockets here. These are the 3x4 pockets. So maybe I'm gonna look and just pick one of these out. And these could be moved around, right? So let's put in, I'll start with that one. And then I'm gonna put the this week one on the back side, okay? So this is, again, just giving me a little bit of a guide. Totally subject to change, of course. But for some people, I think doing a little bit of work in advance sets the stage, gives you some parameters that you're going to work from, which I think can be a really effective way to approach these projects. So let's move into Tuesday then, and I'm just picking some, right? I'm just saying, okay, I'm gonna have another quote on one of these. Let's do one of these black and white ones. Or black and color ones. And I'm just going to move it over here. This is one of my favorite quotes about normal days. And on Tuesday, let's go ahead and let's put in the observing card. So that'll give me a guide. I can focus my journaling on this idea of what am I observing on this Tuesday. I also need to add in the food ones for each one of these. I'll come back and do that. So moving on then to Wednesday. Let's put this one about daily life. The true secret of happiness lies in taking a genuine interest in all the details of daily life. I'm going to throw that guy in there, and then I'm going to put working on the back side. And then let's move on to, this is Thursday. So for Thursday, let's see. Let's look for something positive in each day, even if you have to look a little harder. And then let's say we'll do the tough stuff on that one. For Thursday, okay, that was Thursday. So let's see, for Friday, let's do, let's see, about the one that says, perhaps we could enjoy everyday life more if we learn to celebrate the ordinary. And then we'll do highs and lows. And then we'll come into Saturday. And let's see, love the life that you live. Live the life you love. And we'll do celebrating. And then for the last one, for Sunday, let's do forever is composed of nows and giving thanks. So this is a great way, like, I'm really happy with this. This reminds me that I think about some of these things in advance. There's 2 other cards left over that have patterns on them that you could slip in somewhere else or you could use for a different project. So I'm gonna put giving thanks. That will help guide my journaling. One thing that you really could do too is you could use those journaling cards as jumping off point for your whole day of journaling. Like maybe on Sunday you focus on gratitude and giving thanks. On Saturday you focus on celebrating and literally use that word as the jumping off point for, you know, what are you celebrating today, or, you know, looking for things in your life to celebrate. Highs and lows could be the structure that you use for your journaling on Thursday and on and on. So, okay, we've got those things. Let's talk a little bit about how I envision, and I don't know exactly yet how I want to use all of these other things. I do know that I want to pull out some more of those 3x8 page protectors. Just got a stash here of those. So that's something that I want to add into each day. These other things here, I'm going to envision that I will probably add them onto my photos as I go about the week. The ones here that say stories, I probably want them, trying to think about how I want to put those in there. Another thing that I often use in this project are layered templates, and I have a layered template tutorial that I'm working on for you guys. It may already be up. I'm not sure the days that these are going to happen, and I will use those for probably the 6x8 part, and it has a thing on it that says Monday on it already. So I think I'll wait to add these guys in there and kind of figure out how, you know, where do they make sense? Do I want to add them onto the page protector or the page dividers? That's something that I often do. And then I can think a little bit about these numbers. Many times in the past, I have just numbered my days, you know, 1 through 7. One of the things that I like about these, and I like about these, and I'm kind of thinking that you could just layer these on top of each other. Most of them have a film on them. Is, you know, go like this, 1 and Monday, right? This is the first story, and you may start on Sunday, and that's totally fine. But I like the idea of putting these together and having a spot where I could have some ribbon or something that's coming out, and maybe this is going to become, this could be in here as a page, or the other thing it could do is just go in here. I like having things that are transparent like that. The only downside to that is that I would want it to be, I would want you to be able to see through it, so I wouldn't necessarily have a spot for a photo on the back. So that starts to kind of cut down on the number of spaces I have for photos, which can be good and bad. And I gotta pull the plastic off this one. It's kind of up to you and how many photos do you need to illustrate your day. And you know, if you have more photos, then you may want to use less product, and that totally makes sense to me. Can this go in the middle? This can also be punched. I could punch a hole in here with using the 6-hole punch, and these could go in the middle as like this just begins the day there too. So I'm not gonna make that commitment yet. I think I'm gonna think a little bit more about that. I actually might just slide these in for now so that I know that they have a place. These ones, the number ones are inside the kit. The other ones were an add-on, so that is an additional purchase if you wanted to play around with those. But I think that that's what I'll do right now, is at least just put those into the album, and then I can think a little bit more about how I want to use them once I have my actual content, because maybe I will want to put a photo behind there before I add it in there, something like that as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and just continue to stick things in the pockets. I'll take some pictures of how these end up. The hearts, I know that I want to use them in some way or another. Actually, let's look at this. One way that those probably could be used, an idea would be to place the hearts, which I'm pretty sure these hearts are in that pack with the transparent tags. They were an optional one there. But I could put that there and then put the day of the week on there. That would be a really cute way to begin each day. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go through that process of just getting that stuff established. One of the things that I think that is a nice reminder about doing a little bit of stuff in advance is that it gives you a little bit of structure. You're doing a little bit of the work ahead of time, so you're not doing it all after the fact. It's a mix, and you get to choose what makes the most sense to you. That's really what I encourage in all the projects that I talk about. And there's different things that you could do, like also on the bonus chipboard set, there is days of the week here with the little circles, and that's something else that you could add on there if you like that look better than the cork, and the cork could be added on somewhere else. So I'll probably consider that as I look through. I like the simplicity. I really like the black. That was one of the things that I liked about this kit, was having the black with the colors, so playing around with that. Also remembering that everything doesn't have to be inside of a page protector, right? Things can be outside of the page protectors. I tend to do that a lot more in the December Daily project. It's up to you, right? It's your project, it's your album, it's your family stories. You decide what works best for you. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and keep working through here. All right, and I decided to just show you a quick walkthrough on here of actually what ended up. You can see the still post on my blog, but I also wanted to just flip through so you could see. So again, starting with that PDF download, or there's a PNG file included in there as well. One thing that I did different than I had initially planned is I decided to use the rubber pieces on top of the plastic hearts on top of the transparent page dividers. So right now my album's a little funny because it's real thick in the middle where all those are. But I felt like that was a good use of something that was in the kit as well. Again, this is going to be cut and put on top of a photo after the week starts. So you guys, I think you saw Monday pretty much, but I did just go through and add these in. They may end up moving around. I also added in all of the 3x8 breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Again, you could poke holes, you know, punch holes in those and add them directly into your album if you didn't want to have the page protectors. Then I have the 6x8 is in there for each day. There's nothing in there right now, but that's in between the other page protectors, and then I have the day of the week at the end. So that is the formula that I'm following throughout the album. So then you can see the Tuesday stories with the heart and the rubber piece. I use red line tape to attach that on there. Coming into day 2, then I have those 2 tags there, plus observing on the back, the 3x8, and then the full page, so following the formula, and then the 4x6 card. Wednesday, for Wednesday stories. One thing you might notice on some of mine, there was a couple rubber pieces that were incorrect, and I just have the old version of those. If you purchase the kit, it has the correct version in them. Wednesday on top there, the 3x8, and the 6x8 or the full page, and then the day of the week card. Here's Thursday. I just stapled it on one side using a tiny attacher because that's where it could reach, and I think that that will be just fine. There's the Thursday with the number 4, tough stuff, the 3x8, the 6x8, and the 4x6. Again, I may move things around a little bit once the actual time comes, but we'll see. I'm totally fine with having a little bit of flexibility and having a little bit of structure at the same time. So that's a win for me. Friday stories, obviously on top of the black one. We've got the Friday with the quote card there, highs and lows on the back, the 3x8, then the 6x8, then the Friday card. Saturday stories, heart with the rubber pieces. You may have hearts from past projects too that you could just use as well. Saturday, there on top of the day 6, the 3x8 celebrating on the back. Saturday, the full page 6x8, the Saturday. You won't be able to see this in the still pictures because it's blank right now. The Saturday one, and then we've got the Sunday stories for the last day of this week here. Hard to turn one-handed. Forever's composed of nows with the Sundays, the 3x8, the full page 6x8, and then the Sunday. So this album is ready for me to add my content. So now I'm just waiting for the 6th to come around so that I can start taking pictures and writing down the stories. All right, and just a reminder that I will be documenting my week starting May 6th. This is for 2019. I start on a Monday, other people start on Sunday. It's totally up to you. And I usually share my stories and photos at the end of, or the following day during the week. So you'll see lots of blog posts during the week. And then I take time within the next couple weeks afterwards to go ahead and put my whole album together and share that process on my blog. Again, if you want more information, we have lots of past blog posts about my Week in the Life project and lots of ideas and things that you can see from ways that I've approached this project in the past. Check it out. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below.